Hello, everyone, and welcome to another great episode of This Week in Raider Football. Episode 6 we go on the 2015 regular season schedule as we review last week's Riverdale win over the East Lee County Jaguars, as well as this Friday's upcoming contest as the Riverdale Raiders return home on September 25th to take on the Ida Baker Bulldogs. But to start off the episode, let's take a look at last Friday night when the Raiders traveled over to East Lee to take on the Jaguars, and the Raiders coming up with a big win, 32-14, overall bringing up points in all four quarters, 8 in the first, 12 in the second, 6 in the third, and finally 6 in your final quarter of play. The total up 32 points on the game. Meanwhile, the home team Jaguars only were able to come up with points in the second and fourth quarter to bring up 14 points. So overall, that win brought the Raiders up to 2 wins and 2 losses on the regular season, and the East Lee County Jaguars went down to 1-2 on their 2015 regular season schedule. And now we take a look at this Friday night when your Riverdale Raiders take on the Ida Baker Bulldogs. Once again, going to be a very fun contest. Kickoff at 7:30 p.m. at Karl Engel Field on the campus of Riverdale High School. Now let's take a look at the Ida Baker Bulldogs, currently being coached this season by Brian Kahn, who has brought the team to a 1-win, 3-loss record thus far. They are 0-1 in their district, which we will talk about in just a moment. Their national ranking is 3,700, and their state ranking in the state of Florida is 240, pardon me there. Anyways, the Ida Baker Bulldogs are currently in the standings, a part of Class 6A District 10, which is a very large division, consists of 6 teams altogether. 3 of those teams are 1-0, 3 of those teams are 0-1. There were 3 teams tied up for the first place spot. That's the Charlotte Tarpons, the Port Charlotte Pirates, and the Island Coast Gators. Meanwhile, on the bottom, there were 3 teams tied up at the 0-1 spot. That's the Ida Baker Bulldogs, the North Fort Myers Red Knights, and the Cape Coral Seahawks. So that is a looking at Class 6A District 10 once again. Meanwhile, as we head towards the midway marker of your 2015 regular season schedule, let's take a look at the Riverdale Raiders standings. As we get that loaded up, they were a part of Class 7A District 12. As of right now, the Gulf Coast Sharks are the number 1 team out of the 3 schools total, with a 4-win, 1-loss record. South Fort Myers is in the midsection in number 2, 3-1. They are currently on a roll. Meanwhile, the Raiders are tied up at 500 with 2 wins and 2 losses. So Riverdale currently at the bottom, and like I said, they need to get a little bit of a move on as we head towards that midway marker of the season. But overall, still a lot of time to get into the winning column and rise up as we head into Game 5 of 10 total on the series of games. So that's just a little bit of a look in between these 2 teams. The Riverdale Raiders currently beating out the East Lee County Jaguars once again, which also was a very big win when you consider the fact that the Raiders were on a 2-game losing streak. This was a win that they needed badly. And overall, let's take a look at the previous 4 games for Riverdale. A 13-0 win at North Fort Myers to start off the season. That was back in August. They were defeated by 3 points versus Palmetto Ridge at the Riverdale Raiders home opener. They had a loss at Dunbar, 22-14, but they were finally able to get some relief with a 32-14 win at East Lee. Let's see if they can get above 500 with a win at Riverdale High School on Friday night. Once again, kickoff at 7:30. It's the Riverdale Raiders versus the Ida Baker Bulldogs. These are 2 teams that got together last season as well, and they played at Karl Engel Field, and Riverdale was able to come away with a last-second victory. So let's see if they can pull up another one in the 2015 column. And this is going to be the first home game in quite a while, as Riverdale was also coming off of a 2-game road trip at Dunbar and East Lee. So it's been over 2 weeks. Be sure to come out to Karl Engel Field to cheer on your Riverdale Raiders. If you're interested in attending the ball game, tickets start at $5. And it's going to be a fun time, so be sure to come out, cheer on your Raiders. And the next time the Raiders will be at Karl Engel after this Friday's game is going to be October 9th versus DeSoto County. And that's because after the Ida Baker ball game, the Raiders will go on a 1-game road trip at Gulf Coast on October 2nd. But overall, that's just going to do it for today's episode on This Week in Raider Football. This is Nick Rush, and I'd like to thank you for listening in to today's podcast. And hopefully we'll have a great time Friday night. Let's hope the weather will hold up as we head into fall in Southwest Florida. That weather's going to get cooler, and I'm ready for it. So we'll see you on Friday night. Karl Engel Field once again, 7:30 p.m. versus the Ida Baker Bulldogs. Make sure to be there. Have a good time. And thank you for listening to This Week in Raider Football.